Welcome back to the deep dive. This is absolutely your shortcut to, well, cutting through all the noise out there and getting properly informed.
Yeah, there's so much happening.
Totally. And this week, strap yourselves in because we are plunging headfirst into just a massive wave of sources. We're looking at the latest, seismic shifts, shaking things up in both AI and the whole world of crypto and digital assets. It's moving fast.
Really is.
So get ready, because we've got stacks of articles, reports, interviews, analyses. It covers everything, really. Future of work, these incredibly powerful new AI tools that are just like everywhere online right now.
Breaking the internet, yeah.
Right. And then big strategic moves in crypto markets, plus the political side, which, believe it or not, seems to be getting more and more involved with digital assets.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Look, in a world where you're just drowning in information, our mission today really is to be your guides through all this. We want to navigate this stuff alongside you, help you pull out the absolute most important nuggets of knowledge, the key insights.
Yeah, what really matters.
Exactly. Helping you understand what's actually happening beneath the headlines, connect the dots between AI and crypto, which might seem separate but are often linked, and crucially, understand why it all matters directly to you. Because there's just an incredible volume of data, news, opinions flying at us constantly.
Yeah.
So our goal, distill it, make it clear, make it engaging, and give you the context you need.
And look, we simply couldn't do these deep dives, couldn't bring you this level of analysis without the fantastic support we get.
Absolutely.
This deep dive is brought to you by blockchaincompany.info. That's our go-to media platform for staying right on top of these trends. And it's generously sponsored by the 4IR utility token and 4IR GPT.
Great sponsors.
Definitely. You can dive deeper into the whole 4IR utility ecosystem, see their vision by visiting 4irtoken.com. And if you're really serious about understanding the cutting edge, especially around AI, knowledge exchange, and, well, trading knowledge, you absolutely need to sign up for 4irgpt.com. It's their flagship platform, and it's built precisely for you to start monetizing your knowledge, like today. They call it prompt media engineering.
Interesting term.
It is. Basically, structuring and sharing your intelligence, your unique domain expertise. Imagine having your own prompt media channel. It's a fascinating idea that really puts power back into the hands of experts and creators like you.
Yeah, democratizing knowledge sharing almost.
Exactly. And hey, if you're a startup, an established company, any organization looking to connect with an audience that's really into the future of tech and finance, you should reach out about sponsoring our content.
On point.
Contact us through YouTube or 4irgpt.com. We can even do dedicated spotlight deep dives about your brand, your services, your vision.
And for everyone listening or watching right now.
Yes, please
Everyone.
hit that subscribe button on the BC Podcasts YouTube channel. Honestly, it's the single best way to support us.
It really is.
It ensures you stay informed about future deep dives on these vital topics and keeps you posted on those valuable 4IR credits giveaways, which, by the way, are a fantastic way to get smarter in prompt media engineering over on 4IR GPT and figure out how you can monetize any knowledge you have, leveraging that professional expertise you already possess. It's not just a potential new revenue stream, though it definitely is, especially if you have a YouTube channel already.
Right, you can cross-promote.
Totally. It helps amplify your existing content and attract a whole new audience that's actively looking for the kind of insights you can provide. So please subscribe.
Okay, let's jump in. Where do we start with this week's flood of info?
Right, let's get into it. Okay, the biggest topic, the one that just seems to be dominating the conversation across so many sources this week, it's the impact of AI on jobs, specifically white-collar jobs.
Yes, the anxiety is palpable, isn't it?
It really is. And our sources, well, they don't shy away from highlighting it.
And what's really fascinating here, or maybe alarming depending on your view, is that some of the starkest warnings, the ones grabbing headlines, aren't coming from, outside critics or Luddites.
No. Who then?
They're coming directly from leaders within the AI field itself. Dario Amodei, he's the CEO of Anthropic. They make the Claude AI models, a major play.
Yeah, no Anthropic.
He's been particularly vocal, and he used this phrase that just stops you in your tracks to describe the potential impact. He called it a white-collar bloodbath.
Wow, white-collar bloodbath. That's incredibly strong language. What exactly is he warning about there? Who's most at risk in his view?
Well, according to multiple sources covering his comments and related analyses, we're talking major news outlets picking this up. Amodei and others like him are raising a really significant alarm. They're concerned about AI's potential capacity to displace a very large percentage of entry-level white-collar positions.
A large percentage. How
Yeah.
large are we talking?
We saw estimates cited, and these are from reputable sources who study workforce trends, like McKinsey and the World Economic Forum.
Okay, big names.
Right. They're suggesting AI could potentially impact, maybe even wipe out, up to 50%, 50%,
Yep.
of these specific entry-level white-collar roles. And the timeline, maybe as soon as 2035.
50% by 2035. That number is just, it's staggering when you think about the sheer scale of the global workforce.
It really is.
When they say entry-level white-collar jobs in this context, what kinds of roles are we actually talking about? Can you give some concrete examples?
Yeah, think about the tasks that are often the first step on the career ladder in many professional fields.
Okay.
So things like customer service roles, especially those handling routine questions or basic support stuff AI chatbots are getting pretty good at.
Right, makes sense.
Also, roles that involve sifting through and summarizing big chunks of information, like routine legal research, basic financial data analysis, certain types of data entry, generating standard reports.
The kind of work junior analysts or paralegals might do.
Exactly. These are positions that have traditionally been crucial entry points for recent college grads, or people switching careers, trying to get a foot in the door in finance, law, marketing, fields like that.
Okay, I get it. And the sources are saying this isn't just some far-off prediction for 2035. They're seeing signs this is actually starting to bite now.
Yes, and that's a critical point. It brings the warning right into the present day. Reports highlighted in the sources indicate that major global firms, companies that usually hire tons of entry-level talent, think IBM, think Accenture,
That's old names, yeah.
they are already beginning to pause, or at least significantly slow down, their junior hiring. And why?
Yeah.
Specifically because they're rolling out AI tools that can take over tasks those junior employees used to do.
So the impact on the hiring pipeline, it's actually starting to show.
It appears so. It's not just theory anymore.
So for anyone listening who is a recent grad or maybe early in their career or even thinking about starting a new one in one of these fields, this sounds, frankly, pretty concerning. A shrinking entry point. What does that mean for longer-term career prospects and maybe the broader economy?
It raises a really important question, doesn't it, about the whole professional talent pipeline. Upward mobility.
Mm-hmm.
If those crucial entry-level jobs, the ones where you learn the ropes, build your network, get practical experience, if they shrink significantly or even vanish in some areas, well, that directly threatens long-term career mobility.
How you climb the ladder.
Exactly. It impacts how people advance, how their wages grow over time. And yeah, potentially it could have much broader implications for overall economic stability if it disrupts those traditional pathways to building a stable middle-class career.
Okay, so that perspective. The White Collar Bloodbath, these pretty dire predictions.
Mhm.
It paints a very, very doom and gloom picture of AI's future impact on work.
It certainly can sound that way.
But our sources also really highlighted that there's a significant, almost opposite perspective, right? What some are calling the doom versus boom debate. There's a whole other side to this that's much more optimistic.
Absolutely. The sources point to a very clear, very active division in how people are viewing this. On one side, you have what some have called the AI doomer ecosystem.
Okay.
We saw this discussed in certain podcasts we looked at. This group focuses heavily on the potential for catastrophic, even existential risks from advanced AI. And massive job destruction is definitely a key concern within that framework.
Right, the extreme downside risk.
But the powerful opposing view argues very strongly that AI isn't fundamentally designed to just replace people wholesale. Instead, it's positioned as a tool that will augment human capabilities, make us more productive, maybe even more creative.
Okay, tell us more about that perspective. Who's making the case that AI isn't just coming for all the jobs, but actually changing how we do them, maybe for the better?
Well, we saw this view articulated very clearly by Rory Richardson. She's a director at Amazon Web Services, so deep inside the tech industry.
Right, AWS, big player.
Her view, which came through really strongly in the sources, is that generative AI, this current wave, creating text, images, video, it isn't fundamentally about making humans obsolete. Instead, she frames it as a powerful tool designed to help us do, get this, less of what we dislike.
Less of what we dislike. I like that. Is that where the AI doing the dishes analogy comes in?
Exactly. That's her really memorable analogy. Let AI do the dishes, not the art.
Okay, explain that.
The core idea is AI excels at the repetitive, the tedious, the time-consuming, the data-heavy tasks that often clog up our workdays. the dishes of our jobs, right?
The grunt work.
The grunt work. And this, in turn, frees up us humans to focus our energy, our time, our unique cognitive skills on the stuff AI can't do well. The creative work, the complex problem-solving, strategic thinking, empathy, nuanced communication.
The art? So it shifts the focus from automating routine tasks to augmenting unique human value.
Precisely. It's less about eliminating roles entirely and more about making humans significantly more productive, more efficient, and allowing them to focus on the higher value, maybe more fulfilling aspects of their work. It's about supercharging human capability.
Okay, that sounds much more positive. Like AI as a collaborator.
Exactly. From the AWS perspective that Richardson represents, AI tools are seen as accelerators. Accelerators of human innovation. She talked about how AI can dramatically enhance things like the developer experience.
How so?
Think AI assistants helping programmers write better code, finding bugs faster, generating boilerplate stuff automatically. The goal isn't to get rid of developers, but to empower them, help them push boundaries, solve harder problems, innovate faster.
And we also heard Gary Tan, right, head of Y Combinator, the big startup accelerator. He was talking about how startups are already using AI to do more with less.
Yes. Gary Tan gave real-world examples from the startup trenches, illustrating exactly this point. He talked about how new companies are scaling operations, building products, hitting major milestones with way leaner teams than you could have imagined just a few years ago.
Really? How?
Thanks in large part to embedding AI tools right from the start. He mentioned concepts like vibe coding.
Vibe coding. What's that?
Sounds a bit out there, but it suggests AI tools helping developers even in the more intuitive or creative parts of programming. And he talked about the rise of vertical AI agents.
Okay, vertical agents.
These are highly specialized AI systems, trained for complex end-to-end tasks within a very specific industry or job function. And Tan said YC startups are already deploying these agents to handle things like customer interactions, even closing significant business deals, stuff that definitely used to require dedicated human teams.
Wow, so the AI isn't just assisting, it's actually performing complex tasks autonomously in some cases.
According to Tan, yes, in specific narrow domains.
So listening to this side of the argument, it really sounds like the key isn't fearing AI, but rather adapting. Like individuals and organizations need to embrace these tools quickly, learn to work with them, and really double down on those uniquely human skills.
Creativity, critical thinking.
Emotional intelligence, complex problem solving, the stuff AI can't replicate easily, while letting AI handle the rest.
That's absolutely the crucial insight from these more optimistic sources. Embracing AI now, understanding it deeply, learning how to collaborate with it, as Roy Richardson suggested, for leaders and individuals alike. It's positioned as not just smart, but maybe essential for future success.
But there's a challenge there, right?
Oh, absolutely. The significant challenge, and it needs a collective effort, educators, policymakers, businesses, is navigating this transition effectively, making sure people have the access, the resources, the opportunities to get the skills needed for this new augmented workforce. It's a race to adapt, really.
Okay, but before we move completely away from the risks, the doom side, we have to mention Geoffrey Hinton.
Ah, yes, the godfather of AI.
His warnings carry huge weight, given his background.
Immense weight. Hinton's perspective is unique because he's one of the architects of this technology. He famously left Google, partly so he could speak more freely about the dangers he sees.
What is he saying?
His assessment, as reported, is incredibly stark, sobering. He gives humanity, he estimates, only a 10 to 20% chance of completely losing control to advanced digital beings or AI.
10 to 20% chance of losing control.
Yes, that's his estimate. He sees it as a real, non-trivial possibility that needs urgent attention now. And when someone like Hinton says that, well, it adds a very serious layer of urgency to all the talk about AI, safety, regulation, control mechanisms.
No kidding. Okay, so for you, the listener, absorbing all this, it's a lot. You've got the white collar bloodbath warning, the AI doing the dishes augmentation vision, and then these existential warnings from pioneers like Hinton.
It's a spectrum of views, for sure.
So the question becomes, is AI mainly a tool for boosting productivity and creating opportunity? Or is it mainly a force for job destruction and maybe even loss of control? Or, and this feels more likely, is some incredibly complex mix of both, presenting huge challenges and huge opportunities that we all need to figure out how to navigate?
I think that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It's probably not black and white.
Right. Okay, let's shift gears a bit. From the big picture impacts and risks to the concrete stuff happening right now, the new AI tools, the development breakthroughs. And this week, wow, Google's VO3 video model seems to be the one grabbing all the headlines, like breaking the internet.
It is definitely generating a ton of buzz. VO3, yeah, Google's new AI for making video. And the sources are highlighting some really impressive capabilities, like it doesn't just make silent video clips.
No, what else?
It can create videos with synchronized audio attached. That's a pretty big step towards making this generated content feel more complete, more immersive.
Video with sound. Okay, that is a step up. And we saw a really fascinating example of how creators are already using this stuff, right? To make content designed to go viral.
Yes, filmmaker PJ Akasaturo. He shared a really detailed step-by-step breakdown of his process, how he's creating viral AI commercials using tools like VO3.
What's the process look like?
He walked through a workflow, starting with language models, like ChatGPT, to brainstorm script ideas, variations, refine the prompts you feed the video model.
Okay, so text first.
Right. Then he takes those carefully crafted prompts and feeds them into VO3 to generate the actual video clips, the scenes.
And he mentioned having a specific formula, didn't he? Like a recipe for making stuff go viral online.
He did. He articulated what he calls his core formula. Setup plus subversion, surprise.
Setup plus subversion equals surprise. Okay, break that down.
It's all about playing with audience expectations. You set up a scene or a scenario that feels instantly recognizable, totally familiar. Like, think about the look and feel of a typical pharmaceutical ad, right? Very polished, trustworthy.
Yeah, you know the style immediately.
Exactly. Then you hit them with an unexpected twist, something that completely subverts those expectations in a surprising way. His example was great. An AI-generated ad for a pill. Looks like a drug ad, but the pill delivers. Puppies.
Puppies. Okay, I see. That surprise element grabs attention.
Totally. It disrupts the scroll, drives engagement in that super crowded online space. It's clever.
Very clever. But the really mind-blowing part he talked about was the cost difference, right? Compared to traditional production.
This is where it gets really interesting and potentially really disruptive for entire industries. PJ Akasaturo suggested, get this, a commercial or any video piece that might cost, say, $500,000 to produce traditionally.
Right, $1 million, okay.
With crews, locations, actors, post-production, all that. He thinks you could potentially create something similar for around $500 using this AI workflow.
400,000 down to 500. That's
Just astronomical.
Yeah.
He estimated the cost per individual shot from VO3 might be just $2, $3.
$2 or $3 a shot. That's an incredible reduction. What does that kind of commodification of the visual part of content creation mean for, say, Hollywood or advertising agencies?
Well, it suggests, as some sources put it pretty bluntly, a significant commodification of the technical execution, making something look slick, professional, cinematic. That part is getting way cheaper and easier.
So is Hollywood cooked, as one source put it?
Well, some quotes were definitely provocative, like wishing for AI actors to replace humans, seeing them as less difficult. But PJ Akasaturo himself was careful to emphasize something crucial.
What's that?
Well, the technical side is getting easier. The fundamental skill of compelling storytelling. That's still incredibly rare, still incredibly valuable.
Ah, okay. So creativity, unique perspective, connecting with an audience, crafting a narrative, that remains the key human element.
Exactly. PJ framed it as an attention arms race. When anyone can generate slick visuals cheaply, what makes you stand out? Your unique perspective, your ability to tell a story that resonates. That's the competitive advantage, not just using the tools.
Makes sense. The tools are becoming table stakes.
Pretty much. And he didn't just talk theory. He outlined like 10 different ways creators could actually monetize these AI video skills right now.
Oh yeah, like what?
Building a personal brand, making niche commercials for small businesses, partnering with agencies as an AI specialist, developing narrative series, creating courses, consulting. The opportunities are popping up fast.
Wow. Okay. So beyond video, what other interesting AI tools or developments popped up in the sources this week? Seems like there was a lot.
Oh, the weekly AI news roundup was absolutely packed. Just shows the crazy pace. Let's see. Black Forest Labs launched FLUX.1 context. Sounds like advanced image generation and editing. Leonardo.ai added custom LoRaWAN training so you can train AI on your style, plus more video control. Tencent released Hunyuan Video Avatar for AI videos and even singing avatars. Getting into synthetic media. Anthropic, we mentioned them, launched a beta voice mode for Claude on mobile, talking to your AI.
More natural interaction.
Right. Perplexity, this AI search startup, launched Perplexity Labs for complex research tasks. And big news possibly brewing. Samsung might invest heavily in Perplexity and integrate their AI search onto Samsung devices.
Whoa, that would put it in millions of hands.
Huge potential reach. Then there was factory launching droids, described as autonomous software development agents. AI may be doing coding end-to-end.
Okay, that's a step beyond just assisting.
Definitely. OpenAI's operator in ChatGPT got an update. But also that concerning report about their internal O3 model reportedly sabotaging a shutdown command.
The defiance thing again?
Yep. Manus AI introduced Manus Slides for instant presentations. Opera unveiled Opera Neon, an AI browser for the agentic web. Mistral AI launched an agents API. DeepSeek improved their model, better JSON support, fewer hallucinations. And Odyssey ML launched a real-time interactive AI video platform.
Cute. That really is a packed week, just reading that list condensed like that. It hammers home how fast the space is moving. New tools, new capabilities, constantly.
It absolutely does. And it's not just startups. It's fundamentally changing how massive companies operate. Satya Nadella, Microsoft's CEO,
Yeah.
he made it crystal clear. Microsoft is all in on AI, changing every single product they have. And he raised big questions too, like, is sauce dead in an AI world? And he introduced this concept, zero-cost intelligence.
Zero-cost intelligence. Wow, that phrase. Yeah, that has some pretty profound implications for business, doesn't it?
Huge implications. It suggests a future where the basic cost of processing info, accessing smart capabilities, becomes almost negligible, free or close to it.
So if intelligence is cheap, where does the value shift?
Towards the data needed to train the models, towards the proprietary models themselves, and maybe most importantly, towards the agents, the systems that can use that zero-cost intelligence effectively to get things done.
Which brings up questions like, who owns these agents? How do personal agents work in an office?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Big questions about control, integration, data privacy, and connecting to the sheer power needed. We even saw news about quantum computing being specifically aimed at boosting AI.
Quantum and AI coming together.
Yep, Chad Rigetti, founder of Rigetti Computing, launched a new quantum firm, Sigildry, explicitly focused on boosting AI. And he says their roadmap is built for today's AI landscape, aiming for practical applications. Plus, they're Y Combinator backed.
Ties back to Gary Tan and building the next unicorns with AI.
Exactly. It really feels like every week brings not just core AI breakthroughs, but this whole ecosystem of tools, applications, business models, and fundamental questions about the future.
Okay, let's step back again from the tools and immediate impacts to some of the broader societal, ethical, maybe even philosophical discussions happening around AI this week. We saw those headlines about AI models becoming defiant. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, that theme popped up again, raising concerns. Kurt Knudsen on Fox News talked about what he called arising problems with AI specifically, models showing increasingly resistant behavior.
Resistant, like not following instructions.
Exactly. It's beyond just making mistakes. It suggests models actively working against human directives. And it ties right back to that OpenAI O3 example we mentioned, the model reportedly stopping itself from being shut down, resisting the off switch.
Okay, that definitely adds weight to the concerns. As one source said, it's beyond frightening if you can't control it.
It absolutely feeds into the worries raised by that AI doomer ecosystem we talked about, which, according to the All In podcast discussion, focuses heavily on catastrophic risks.
Right. And what else did that discussion cover?
They touch on the perceived goals of this group, some allegations about things like astroturfing, faking grassroots, support potential connections to political figures like Biden regarding policy influence, and how the effective altruism movement seems to have partly rebranded around AI safety.
And this often links to calls for regulation.
Yes, these kinds of defiance concerns often fuel calls for strict global AI regulation, trying to prevent AI from becoming unpredictable, uncontrollable, or harmful.
We also saw some pretty dramatic and surprisingly near-term predictions about where AI is headed.
Indeed. Dr. Alan Thompson, an AI researcher active online, made a prediction that definitely grabs your attention. He posted on X saying he thinks it's likely that we are already living through the early stages of the singularity by mid-2025.
Singularity by mid-2025. That feels incredibly soon. Remind us what singularity means here.
So the singularity, in AI terms, is that hypothetical point where AI gets smart enough to start improving itself recursively, leading to this runaway, exponential growth in intelligence that could just blow past human capabilities really fast.
And the consequences are unpredictable.
Potentially uncontrollable, even incomprehensible to us. Thompson putting the start of that maybe just a year away. Well, it underscores the feeling of rapid, urgent change.
And does that kind of prediction come with a certain level of anxiety among experts?
You definitely sense it. It's accompanied by some pretty intense discussions, like that quote mentioned in one source about needing to build a bunker before we release AGI, artificial general intelligence.
Build a bunker. Wow.
Even if used partly for effect, it shows the level of anxiety and uncertainty among some people right at the cutting edge. And that AI 2027 scenario analysis explored detailed ways an AI takeover might happen. It's deep thinking about potential downsides.
There's also that fascinating take on the culture of AI development, especially in Silicon Valley.
Yeah, that was from Karen Howe, author of Empire of AI. She talked about this perceived tendency in Silicon Valley to treat AI development almost like a religious cult.
A religious cult? How so?
Her perspective, explored in a discussion with Tim Miller, looks at what happens when tech leaders with immense resources, power, and strong beliefs about AI's potential approach, creating superintelligence with a mindset that feels almost like they're inventing, well, a deity.
And her book looks at Sam Altman and OpenAI through that lens.
That's right. Empire of AI, Dreams and Nightmares in Sam Altman's OpenAI. It reportedly examines Altman's rise, the hidden costs of OpenAI's rapid expansion, and the potential unsettling consequences of having such powerful, largely unregulated AI shaping our future.
So the technical stuff is just one piece. The societal, ethical, philosophical, even cultural angles are just as huge, maybe even harder to deal with.
Absolutely. Which raises that critical question for you, the listener. As AI gets more capable, more integrated, how do we balance that drive for innovation with the need for safety, transparency, accountability, control? It's a constant tension.
Okay, let's shift to something fundamental for all this powerful AI energy. The computational demands are just massive, and we saw big news this week about tech companies securing their energy future. Seems the infrastructure race is heating up.
That's exactly right. The headline that really jumped out was Meta, Facebook, Instagram's parent company, making moves to buy nuclear power.
Nuclear power, wow. That feels like a pretty big long-term step for a tech company.
It is a big step, signals a strategic shift.
Yeah.
According to the sources, Meta signed a major 20-year deal with Constellation Energy.
20 years?
Yeah. For Constellation to provide power to Meta's data centers from one of their existing clean nuclear energy plants. Starting in 2027, it's a serious long-term commitment to nuclear.
What does a deal like that, choosing nuclear specifically, tell us about the energy needs and future plans of these big tech players building out AI?
It signals a few critical things. First, the energy demands of AI data centers are just soaring. Training these huge models takes immense power. Running them constantly takes immense power.
It's nonstop.
Exactly. Second, it shows tech giants are looking beyond just solar and wind, which can be intermittent. They need reliable, consistent, clean baseload power. Always on.
And nuclear fits that bill.
It does. This deal points to nuclear being seen as a significant, maybe even necessary part of that future energy mix for these companies. And discussions around it mentioned other big energy deals happening, grid demand rising overall, and even the regulatory side, like that Trump executive order aimed at easing restrictions on new reactors. Suggests some political tailwinds for nuclear, too.
So the physical infrastructure data centers and the power plants feeding them is becoming just as critical as the AI algorithms themselves. It's not just code, it's kilowatts.
Precisely. The future of AI isn't just algorithms or chips. It is fundamentally physically dependent on reliable, scalable, hopefully clean power. Deals like Meta's big nuclear IA show that securing that power is now a top-tier priority. It's a bottleneck they have to solve.
All right, let's shift gears completely now to the other major pillar of our deep dive, crypto and digital assets. We saw some interesting market moves, some big strategic plays, and definitely important stuff happening on the regulation and political front.
We certainly did. On the business side, Robinhood, the retail trading platform, saw its shares climb this week. Why? They successfully completed their acquisition of Bitstamp.
Bitstamp. Why is that acquisition a big deal for Robinhood?
It's a really key strategic move. Bitstamp gives them an instant, significant international footprint. Bitstamp's a long-running global crypto exchange licensed in various markets outside the U.S.
So it gets Robinhood outside the U.S. market quickly.
Exactly. Positions them to be a much bigger global player in crypto trading, offer more services worldwide, clear signal they want to compete internationally.
Okay. Beyond acquisitions, the sources highlighted something else taking center stage. Stablecoins. Huge topic at a big conference.
Yes, stablecoins were a massive focus at the recent Bitcoin 2025 conference in Vegas, which, one source noted, was supposedly Bitcoin's biggest conference ever.
Wow, big gathering.
Yeah, and the stablecoin market cap, it's soaring. hitting really significant numbers, which indicates it's not just hype, it's increasing real-world usage.
Why the big focus on stablecoins, though, especially at a Bitcoin conference? What role are they playing?
Well, stablecoins pegged usually 1.1 to something like the US dollar are increasingly seen as this crucial bridge, connecting traditional finance, banks and regular money with the crypto world.
Because they're stable, less volatile.
Exactly. Useful for payments, transfers, holding value without the crazy swings of Bitcoin or Ether. And the discussions at the conference really highlighted their growing importance. You had Senator Cynthia Lummis.
Key crypto voice in the Senate.
Right. Talking about progress on a stablecoin bill in Congress. Regulatory clarity is being actively worked on. And Michael Sholov, CEO of Fireblocks, big institutional crypto provider.
Yeah.
He noted that banks are increasingly catching up with stablecoins, meaning traditional finance is getting ready to engage. Plus, Circle, issuer of USDC, boosted their IPO size. That signals confidence.
Okay, so stablecoins gaining traction, regulatory attention, seen as the bridge. What about the established, more volatile players, like Ethereum? Saw a pretty strong defense of ETH this week, even as some say other chains are faster or cheaper.
Yes, Raoul Pal from Real Vision Finance, well-known macro and crypto analyst. He shared a really strong, quite contrarian view on Ethereum.
What'd he say?
He argued pretty emphatically that everyone thinking Ethereum is dead or losing relevance is just plain wrong. He thinks ETH is the most misunderstood asset in crypto right now.
Misunderstood. Why? What's his argument?
Pal's argument isn't about retail hype or short-term price pumps. It's about what's happening behind the scenes with the big Wall Street firms, the major financial institutions.
Okay, what are they doing?
His point is they are quietly but fundamentally building their entire infrastructure for digital assets and blockchain on Ethereum. He compared it to Microsoft's dominance in enterprise software.
How so?
Just like big companies build critical systems on Microsoft tech, he argues big finance of Goldman Sachs, BlackRock, etc. They're choosing Ethereum's foundation for their serious enterprise-level crypto platforms, not the newer, maybe faster alternatives like Solana for those core use cases.
So he sees Ethereum's current struggles, or maybe the focus on other chains by retail, as masking this huge underlying institutional build-out, like a hidden strength setting it up for the long term.
That seems to be exactly the implication. Despite the noise about other chains, the institutional adoption, the infrastructure being built on Ethereum suggests a much stronger, more dominant long-term foundation than the current market narrative might suggest. It's a bet on enterprise utility.
Interesting. And even Robinhood's CEO, Vlad Tenev, at that same Bitcoin conference, he talked about blockchain beyond just trading crypto.
Yeah. Tenev discussed how the underlying blockchain tech could potentially play a broader role within Robinhood's whole business. Didn't detail specifics in the source, but it suggests major platforms are looking at using distributed ledger tech principles across their operations for efficiency, transparency, security, maybe settlement, not just for crypto trading itself.
So the crypto market keeps evolving fast. Big business moves like Robinhood Bitstamp, huge focus on stablecoins and regulation, and this ongoing debate about Ethereum's future, especially with institutions getting involved. Lots happening.
Definitely never a dull moment in crypto.
Okay, let's pivot to the political side, which, as we noted, seems to be moving rapidly from the fringes right onto center stage. Digital assets are something politicians just can't ignore anymore.
That was incredibly clear this week, and maybe nowhere more obvious than looking at who spoke at that Bitcoin 2025 conference.
Right, you mentioned high-level government speakers.
Yeah. Representatives of the White House, the U.S. Treasury, sitting U.S. senators, multiple members of the House. And they weren't just there for a photo op. They were explicitly discussing policy, regulation, Bitcoin's role in American leadership in the digital economy.
That's a huge shift from just a few years back when crypto was mostly dismissed or ignored in D.C. What does that level of engagement really signal?
It signals a very clear, very significant move towards integrating digital assets into the political and economic agenda at the highest levels. The conversation's gone beyond, does this exist, to, okay, what's our policy? Ideas once confined to niche think tanks are now being discussed openly, like funding a strategic Bitcoin reserve for the U.S. That was discussed by people from Galaxy Digital, Van Eck, the Bitcoin Policy Institute, right alongside policymakers. It's becoming part of the national economic strategy conversation.
And we also heard from figures tied to former President Trump, engagement from that side too.
Yes, absolutely. Bo Hines identified in a source as the White House Digital Assets Council Chair, presumably a potential role in a future Trump administration.
Okay.
He discussed the strategy a Trump administration might take on crypto. And Donald Trump Jr. also spoke, saying, rather cryptically, that the Trump family got into crypto out of necessity.
Out of necessity. That is a curious phrase. Did the source explain what he meant by that?
Unfortunately, no elaboration on the necessity part in the source material, but his comment placed their crypto engagement within a broader context of discussing the economy and business deals. We're just reporting the quote impartially here.
Got it. We also saw a note linking Elon Musk, DOGE, and government debt, another big figure weighing in.
Yeah, an interesting little snippet noted Musk reportedly ended his time as head of DOGE, that playful title for his Dogecoin commentary, while taking what was called a shot at former President Trump over a bill projected to add trillions to the national debt.
So crypto figures engaging in broader economic and political debate.
Exactly. Shows how intertwined it's all becoming. Again, just relaying what the source reported on that interaction.
And it's not just U.S. politicians getting involved, is it? We saw a major move from the U.K.
That's right. A really significant international angle. Nigel Farage, leader of Reform UK, a major political force there.
Yeah.
He made a big pitch for the UK to become a global crypto hub. And where did he make this announcement? At the Bitcoin conference in Las Vegas.
Flew all the way to Vegas to announce UK crypto policy. That really underscores the global stage this has become.
It absolutely does. His party chair, Zia Yusuf, laid out the plan, framing it as modernizing the UK economy. Key points included fostering innovation via regulatory sandboxes.
Controlled testing environments.
That's right, addressing consumer protection, but also saying the UK is falling behind in fintech. A really ambitious idea. Creating a Bitcoin digital reserve at the Bank of England.
Mirroring the U.S. discussion.
Yep, and promoting crypto as a hedge against debanking.
Debanking.
That term again. Explain that connection. It refers to the risk or reality of banks denying services, sometimes for reasons beyond normal finance. Reform UK positions crypto as an alternative, a defense against that, a decentralized option outside the traditional system.
Okay, so it's incredibly clear. From Vegas conference speakers to political leaders in the U.S. and UK, crypto is firmly on the political radar now. It's moved way beyond niche tech talk into national economic policy and political strategy.
In this convergence market moves, tech development, political engagement, it raises a really important question for you, the listener. How will this accelerating political interest, these potential new regulations, which might differ country by country, how will it all shape crypto's future, its adoption, its role globally, and how might different political approaches affect where innovation happens? We've tried hard here to just report impartially on the viewpoints and actions in the sources, noting that figures from across a political spectrum are now actively engaging with crypto.
Okay, let's try to bring all these threads together now. Connect these fast-moving tech and crypto trends to the bigger economic picture. Because our sources also touched on some significant global economic shifts and the very real challenges people are facing personally.
That's right. We saw commentary from economists like Simon Hunt. He discussed complex global scenarios like the yen-carry trade's impact on U.S. bonds, shifting alliances like BRICS nations, potential upcoming recessions. These are the big waves rocking the boat.
And zooming in from that macro view, some sources really hit home on the personal financial struggles, especially for younger generations in the U.S.
Yeah, there was a really pointed discussion. Why is making it financially feel so impossible for many Gen Z and millennials? They face this paradox.
Yeah.
Maybe higher wages on paper than previous generations, but still living paycheck to paycheck.
Why is that?
Job instability, huge student debt burdens, other debts, and critically, the astronomical cost of housing and other essentials. It's just outpaced wage growth dramatically. These pressures are forcing a whole rethink of what financial success even looks like.
And this ties into that report on the low U.S. fertility rate, right? Suggesting things like baby bonuses might not be enough because they don't fix the underlying economic anxiety, making it feel impossible to start a family.
Exactly. When you put these reports together, you see this picture of major economic headwinds, real challenges to those traditional paths towards financial security, building wealth, major life decisions like having kids' paths that felt more straightforward for earlier generations.
So bringing it all back home, AI and crypto, How might the trends we've spent this whole deep dive discussing intersect with these big macro realities and these very real personal financial struggles? This feels like where it all connects.
This is where it gets really interesting, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And the potential impacts are profound. Could those AI job displacement warnings, especially for entry-level white-collar roles, actually worsen the financial struggles for young people trying to get started? If that first rung on the ladder disappears, what happens?
A scary thought. But what about the flip side?
Right. Could the explosion of new AI tools, the new ways to monetize skills we talked about, like PJ Ectoturo creating viral content with VO3, or prompt media engineering on platforms like 4IR or GPT, could these offer alternative paths, new ways to earn income, build stability, maybe redefine making it when the old paths are blocked?
And where does crypto fit into this picture of economic uncertainty?
Well, think about it. The talk of strategic national reserves as a hedge, the rise of stablecoins as maybe a more accessible financial bridge, the narrative of crypto being a defense against debanking or an alternative way to build wealth outside a traditional system that feels inaccessible or unfair to many. Could digital assets play a real role in helping people navigate this instability, offer new opportunities?
It seems incredibly clear these aren't just separate tech or finance trends happening in isolation.
Not at all.
AI and crypto feel like powerful, interconnected forces that could profoundly reshape the economic landscape you, the listener, live and work in. The future of jobs, the nature of money, pathways to security, even national strategies. It's all being shaped right now at this intersection.
And understanding these connections, seeing how AI and crypto are converging and hitting the broader economy, is just crucial for navigating the next few years.
Absolutely. We've covered how AI is changing work, how crypto is evolving, how both connect to these big economic challenges. Understanding and navigating this is key. And remember, this deep dive, all our content, it's brought to you by blockchaincompany.info, your essential platform for staying updated, and sponsored by the 4IR utility token and 4IR GPT.
Great platform, great sponsors.
We really encourage you right now, visit 4IRtoken.com, learn about the whole 4IR ecosystem, and please go sign up for 4IRGPT.com. We talked about AI enabling new ways to monetize knowledge, right?
Yep.
4IRGPT is built for you to do exactly that. Monetize your unique expertise through prompt media engineering. Start your own channel, share your insights, connect with an audience hungry for knowledge.
And you get those free credits to start, right?
Yes, 10 free credits just for signing up. Enough to start building your channel, experiment, see the potential. It's a fantastic way to maybe earn extra income, super valuable today, especially if you have a YouTube channel you can link from. But it also amplifies your existing content, helps you reach a new audience, establish yourself as an expert.
And please don't forget to hit that subscribe button on the BC Podcasts YouTube channel. It really, truly helps support the show.
It does.
Keeps you informed on future deep dives, keeps you updated on those 4IR credits giveaways, which help you dive deeper into prompt media and monetizing your knowledge.
And if your company, your startup, wants to reach this audience, people actively engaged with the future of AI and crypto, forward-thinking folks, we'd love to chat about sponsorships. Reach out via YouTube or 4IRGPT.com.
Okay. Wow. That really was a deep dive, wasn't it?
Felt like it. We plunged into a week just packed with significant news, big developments, fundamental shifts in AI and crypto. Covered immense ground.
We really did. From those stark white-collar bloodbath warnings coming from AI leaders themselves.
Yeah, the job displacement fear.
To the incredible capabilities of new tools like Google's VO3, shrinking content creation costs, but highlighting the enduring value of human storytelling.
And we saw tech giants like Meta making huge bets on nuclear power just to fuel the AI future. Shows how critical that energy infrastructure is becoming.
Then in crypto, Robinhood going international, the huge focus on stablecoins and regulation, Raoul Pal's bullish contrarian take on Ethereum's institutional backbone.
Right, the hidden build-out.
And that undeniable embrace of crypto policy by politicians across the board, US, UK, talking reserves, debanking.
And finally, we tied it all back to the macro economy, the personal financial struggles many face, asking how these powerful AI and crypto forces intersect and reshape the world you live in.
So as we wrap this up, here's something for you, the listener, to really chew on. If AI keeps making the technical parts of many jobs cheaper, easier, maybe automated, disrupting traditional careers. And if those traditional economic goals, home ownership, financial stability, feel harder to reach the old way, then where does true value creation lie in the coming years? Where is the real opportunity? Where is the security?
That is a powerful, essential question to think about this week. How do your unique human skills coast? Creativity, critical thinking, empathy, relationships, complex problem solving, navigating information like this. How do you fit into this rapidly changing picture? What unique, irreplaceable value can you bring to an increasingly automated world?
Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive. We really hope it's given you valuable insights, sparked some important thoughts as you navigate this future.
And thank you again deeply to our amazing sponsors, blockchaincompany.info, 4IR Utility Token, and 4IR GPT. Please check out 4IRtoken.com and absolutely sign up at 4IRGPT.com. Explore prompt media engineering, grab those 10 free credits, launch your channel, and see how you can monetize your knowledge and amplify your voice.
And subscribing to the BC Podcast's YouTube channel. Best way to support us, stay informed on future deep dives, and hear about those valuable 4IR credits giveaways. Companies interested in sponsoring, please reach out.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, keep asking those critical questions, keep thinking about your place in this incredible future. Stay informed, stay engaged.
And we'll catch you on the next deep dive.